I would like to wish a very happy birthday to my friend Emmett over there.
Yay!
Okay, that's my turn. So, my name is Sara, and I am a competitive crossword solver. Wow. Sorry, I just assumed someone would throw their bra on stage. No one did. Being the fastest crossword solver is like being the most respected eunuch at the royal court. Technically brag-worthy, but at what cost? No matter how elitist a community might be, the social dynamics tend to resemble a high school clique. It's kind of like that scene in Mean Girls where they're going around the lunchroom and pointing out all the social groups, like, them over there, those are the rookies. They actually think they have a chance to win this thing. I bet they haven't even discovered the 27th letter. And those guys over there, that's the New York Times Games team. Do not look Will Shortz in the eye. I heard if you do, he makes just your Wordle word fugly for the rest of the year. And us? Oh, we're the previous winners, of course. David, yeah, he's only here because he bought a full-page ad in the dictionary. And Marissa, she's a Nepo baby. Her dad is literally Duolingo. If you want to sit with us, we only have one rule, and that's on Wednesdays we wear singer with the lyrics, just give me a reason, just a little bit's enough, just a second, we're not broken, just bent. We can learn to love again. 4 letters across. It's interesting what puts you at the top of a hierarchy in some communities. So like crosswords, it's the fastest solver. Theater, most Tonys. Italian Americans, most Tonys. And I was thinking about this a lot when I was researching how to get into the Foley art industry. So Foley, if you don't know, is the art of adding mundane sound to film. So it's the person clapping the coconuts in order to mimic the sound of a trotting horse. And I was trying to think, like, I don't know, how can I become a rock star in the Foley industry? Do they value realism? Are they like, wow, the way you shake that glass of water with a walnut in it really sounds like an ice cube? Or do they like innovation? Can I become a rock star by finding an out-of-the-box way to use that tube that goes And if I allow that there's a top to the hierarchy, then that implies that there is a bottom. And so I think that slot goes to people who do Foley for cartoon porn. I think it's probably really repetitive, like a lot of slapping bags of meat and stirring SpaghettiOs. I think that if I were to enter the industry, I'd really shake things up. I think I can imagine my director pulling me aside and being like, hey, Sara, I'm loving the creativity, but do we really need to hear a slide whistle every time there's penetration? And I know that we told our lead actors to be a little bit more vocal, but I don't think that the Wilhelm scream is appropriate. Some people think that porn is like super objectifying and dehumanizing, but I think that there's plenty of safer work things that are equally, if not more, objectifying and humanizing. For example, the game of tag. So, I hate tag, I've never liked it. I do not understand the logic behind running away from my closest friends. But you might be saying, Sara, you're 28 and you don't have kids. Why do you hate tag so much? Isn't that a bit immature? And I say, actually, my hatred of tag is perfectly justified by Jean-Paul Sartre's concept of le regard, in which you only exist for others and not how you see yourself. You see, the game of tag is a constant reclamation of your personhood. Everyone's trying to make you become it. And you have to fight against that or be socially ostracized. And also running sucks. I think that tag is the perfect game for purgatory. Just an eternity of being chased by a faceless it who you know is objectively your slowest friend. And when they finally catch you and they put their dirty little hand on your shoulder and spin you around and they say, "You larva, you absolute worm, I've got you. Now it is you who is it. It is you who must chase. You're gonna think about this moment for forever, about how you could have outrun me, but you didn't. Because you're weak, spineless, and pathetic. No tag-backsies." Purgatory is one of those concepts, like those, I don't know, Catholic bits of nonsense that I've learned a little bit more of as I've gotten older, but I think nothing kind of fascinates me about the Catholic Church more than the concept of the Pope. I learned recently that when the cardinals, which if you don't know, they are like the Academy for the Vatican Academy, the Vatican Academy, when they are electing a new Pope, they release colored smoke into the air to tell people like whether or not they had a successful election. So it's black smoke if it's unsuccessful, and that means they have to reconvene, or white smoke if they had a successful election. And that's all well and good, and I'm sure it's worked for like 1,000 years. But I think that they could be more creative and take some ideas from the gender reveal community. Like, imagine. So it's a big Vatican blowout. The bartender's mixing up like Jesus' blood cocktails. Everybody's getting down to dubstep remixes of Gregorian chants. People are almost but not quite acting on gay thoughts. And someone knocks a knife against a glass. Everyone quiets down. All attention turns to the center. The daddy cardinal is standing there rubbing the mommy cardinal's belly. The caterer brings out a cake. The mommy and daddy hold the knife together and slice in. They look at the cake expecting chocolate or vanilla. It's expecting some kind of verdict, but it's pink. Walking in from the shadows is Girl Pope, otherwise known as Popette. She is wearing sensible heels and tortoiseshell glasses. She walks up to mommy and daddy cardinal, takes a bite of the cake, and looks at them with the dominance of only someone who left confession with more sins than they went in with. What's wrong with you? They yell at her. And she says, looking at them dead in the eye, staring her holy stare, and also with you. The Bible has a lot of really cool stories, but I think that scholars have been kind of approaching them all wrong, like in terms of questions that they're asking. So, for example, the story of the Judgment of Solomon. So I'll sum it up. In the Judgment of Solomon, two women come to Solomon, and they both claim to be the mother of the same baby. And Solomon's solution to that is to split the baby in half, and each mother gets a half. And so one mother correctly is like, that's crazy, what are you doing? And the other one doesn't. And side note, what the fuck? So Solomon decides that the first mother has to be the actual mother because she cared about whether or not the baby died. And scholars talk about like, I don't know, the wisdom of Solomon or like the place that women hold in like the time of the Bible. But again, I think it's the wrong question. The real question is hamburger or hot dog style. One way, it's just a tragedy. But the other way, it's kind of just an excuse for Solomon to practice his magic act. Imagine, Solomon's sitting up there, and he says, well, I really don't know how I'm going to do this. And it's the same voice as my director. I really don't know how I'm going to do this. This is a real conundrum for old Solomon over here. Can everyone pay attention to my lovely assistant? And then a beautiful woman in a catsuit walks in, and she's got like a big box and a comically large saw. And Solomon walks into the audience. He walks up to the two mothers, and he's like, I'm going to need a volunteer from the audience. And the women obviously are very confused. They look down. The baby's gone. Where is it? Solomon reaches behind one of the women's ears and pulls out the entire baby. The crowd goes wild. Doves fly everywhere. It's the best performance of Solomon's life. One of the mothers is really happy. She loves this show. She's so enthused. The other one, no, that was not funny. Solomon takes the baby, hands it to the first mother, and then turns to the second mother and says, I don't want this baby to be raised in a household that doesn't have an appreciation for stage magic. Once you learn to appreciate whimsy, then maybe, just maybe, you'll have what it takes to become a mother. We don't really live in a monarchy anymore. We don't. But there are some terminologies that have sort of remained with us. So like bed sizes. So we all know king and then queen because women are smaller than men, always. But then, curiously, the next one is full. No, that's not really in any monarchy that I know of. And also full of what? Historical inaccuracy? But yeah, so we have the full, and right below the full, we have twins. The reason that they call it a full is because hotels used to put two twins together to make a full. That makes perfect sense to me. So we go back to the other end. Above the king, we have the California king, which is a bigger king. And the exact origins of that name are kind of nebulous. It's just a bigger king. Like, other countries call it super king, which honestly I think is way better. But I think the entire thing is a great metaphor for like community in general. When you're at the bottom of the hierarchy, like you need to be put together in order to be complete. Like we need each other to survive. But when you're at the top of the hierarchy, you can just be like, I am big and fertile. I am this most ample, supple boy. And you can just call yourself whatever you want. So what have we learned today? We have learned that hierarchy exists everywhere. In crossword puzzles, the Vatican, beds. We've learned that in order to rise to the top of the hierarchy, sometimes you have to play the game, and that can be tag. But I think it's important to remember that no matter how high you rise, there's always going to be someone above you. So actually, there's a bigger size than the California king. It's called the Alaska king. And I'm sure if you're a billionaire, you could probably get like a Louisiana Purchase king too. And then like Popette, she's always going to have to answer to God. And God's always going to have to answer to the smaller god that powers the god Meksu. So here's my advice. If you're ever worried about maintaining your peace in the hierarchy or worried about playing the game, just ask yourself one question. And it's the same question that I would ask Tyra Banks if we were trying to split up a bunk bed. You want to be on top?
Yay!